You see the chat? Can everybody see the chat? Would everybody put in their name, where they're calling in from, and their years of CFC experience? Because I'm not seeing anything come up, so I want to make sure the chat's working correctly. Valerie, you have your hand up? Okay. Thank you, Kathy. So one of the great benefits of this training is you'll see that so many of your colleagues here on this call are new to the campaign. You got onto this call because you're new to the CFC. And so please don't hesitate to put a question in the chat. Somebody from the MPMA team will answer it, or raise your hand. As we go through this, if you have a question, don't hesitate to raise your hand. We are going to go through a slide deck that has, 35 slides. It's way too long of a slide deck, and we'll cut through some of those, and then we're going to jump over to the website and walk you through how the CFC works and all those other things. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Jen, do you have anything to add before we get started?
Nope. Sounds good, Mike.
Thank you. So we're going to cover today how the CFC works. We're going to talk about the 2024 theme and materials, how you market yourself to the CFC, and then participating in CFC events. And we're going to spend a lot of time on CFC events because you can also put in the Slack in the chat, whether you have registered for CFC events yet. If you have registered, put yes in there because I think in our invite we asked everybody to make sure that they registered prior to this. We're going to take you through the registration. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Jessica. Christian, thanks for registering. We want to make sure that we got the registration right because, folks, I've been doing this for 33 years. My team and me are not getting the registration right because it's a little confusing. And so we want to make sure that everybody gets their registration right and gets invited to the events that they're available to attend. So how the CFC works for charities, you have applied for the 2024 campaign, you were accepted, and you get to engage the federal community. And you engage federal community in two ways. This is the giving site right here, Give CFC. And when you donate, when a employee clicks donate and they click find a charity, you engage federal employees right here. Okay, so if your organization is the from the ICSO and it's Jefferson County Search Dog, that's how you engage federal employees through their giving site. And then and we're going to talk a little bit more about that and jump back and forth to it, but you also get to engage federal employees through attending events, and through that engagement, both ways, you make a difference. Because let's be clear, folks, the charities are what motivate federal employees to give. All my colleagues here, Carrie and Andrew and Shell and Jen and Courtney, we train, market, and educate federal employee volunteers on how to ask their colleagues to give through the CFC. But what motivates them to give to the CFC is what you guys do in your local communities and across the country that inspires federal employees and has inspired federal employees to give to charity for 63 years. So you are the ones that make a difference. You're the ones that inspire federal employees and inspire us to get out and promote the CFC through the federal community in the fall. The advantages of CFC participation, you reach millions of potential federal employees. Every federal employee is encouraged to give. It's a steady source of unrestricted funds. We'll talk about that in a little bit, where you get this money year round. You get to track your, excuse me, didn't get a chance to hit mute either. Oh my gosh, I'm off to a great start. Track your pledge donations, and federal employees can pledge volunteer hours in addition to dollars. Does anybody know when the CFC kicked off this year? You put it in the chat. And what the CFC period is for soliciting federal employees. Christian, you're right in theory, but in practice, it's September 1. But yes, the CFC campaign and most workplace campaigns begin in October. This site opened, the giving site opened September 1, but our team, my team, we don't see it until September 1. So, Jen, how many training sessions did you do last week with federal employees?
Federal employees, well, we've probably done a total of 20 so far, at least.
So we go out and do federal employee training for our volunteers, the federal employees that are soliciting their colleagues, starting in September 1, but they haven't seen the site. They haven't been trained yet. So we do a lot of our training in September, and then the campaign really gets going in October. Good news, stop for a minute. Campaign right now is up 12% over where it was on October 14th of last year. Individual zones, those results vary, and but the campaign overall is up 12%. So we're off to a great start, and we're actually seeing momentum increase. Last week it was only up 9%. Now it's up 12%. So that's a really, really good sign for this year's campaign. The theme this year is Give Happy. It's the same theme that we had last year. You'll see it on the giving site. And one of the things that has been improved is that they have taken the Give Happy and they have gone away from cause areas or cause of the week, and they have cause areas, and they've also included these, what do they call them, Jen? It's
Impact words.
these impact words. Thank you. You want to talk a little bit about those and how you train to it, Jen?
Sure, Mike. It's something that they used to refresh the campaign this year. So CFC will typically keep the same theme for 2-3 years, kind of recycling it, giving some familiarity to it, and allowing us to continue to use supplies that we have produced for the campaign, which is always beneficial. Impact words are an area that they refreshed the campaign this year to piggybacking on the Give Happy concept, right? So Give Happy, that concept is that, you know, when we give, we become happy. When we give, we create happiness in others by, you know, positively impacting the cause area that we're passionate about. Give, taking it one step further, give shelter. Perhaps your cause is homelessness. Give nourishment. Maybe it's hunger. You know, give companionship. Maybe you care about furry animals and pets, etc. So they've just leveraged refreshing the theme Give Happy by incorporating impact words around the very causes being disaster, help, hunger, nourishment, etc. So that is part of their refreshment for this year's CFC.
Thank you, Jen. And here's an important component as to this change. Where'd this change come from? It came from you guys. It came from you guys giving feedback. Last year it was just Give Happy, and the charities gave feedback to us and let us know that, you know what, some of our programs are not well introduced by the word happy. Let's talk a little bit more specifically about what our program service is. And that was feedback that the charities provided to us, and we provided to the National Marketing OC, and they listened. So remember that as you go through this. What you say, the feedback that you give us helps us continue to improve the CFC. Another area that got improvement this year was, instead of cause of the week, we have cause areas. And that means that we're not going to focus on one week, the week of November 11th being Veterans Week, is what we've done traditionally, because the 11th is Veterans Day. And we're letting the individual coordinators, the offices, the departments decide on how they wanted to promote their campaigns and their activities. Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between cause week and cause areas, especially maybe in relationship to the significant disasters we've seen on the East Coast because of Hurricanes Helene and Milton?
Sure. Yeah. So the truth is that we have federal agencies that have 25 employees, and then we have federal agencies with 2,000 employees. And so when you are supporting, training, promoting campaigns and agencies that have different size offices, an office with 25 employees is not going to run their campaign all the way from September 1 through January 15th. They're probably going to pick like a 3-week period. And so what they found was that by dating the cause weeks, it limited agencies' ability to leverage causes that might align with their mission. If you're EPA, you're probably going to want to leverage environmental causes, right? Because you're the Environmental Protection Agency. But perhaps that cause week was outside of the time frame that you chose to run your campaign. And so they just removed the dates is all they did from them, so that the employees could then leverage the causes to their to their liking, based on the campaign plan that they create for themselves. Some of our accounts do run the entire time, and so having these weeks established works for them, but it doesn't work for everybody. So they've simply removed it again to allow them that flexibility to leverage. Now we do, there is a sample timeline that, and you can see that there are sample timeline where they do identify what weeks that they are leveraging the causes. And so you will see that, last week was disaster. This week it's give opportunity, ending poverty. So we do have a sample timeline, and we do have some framework for what we're backing into. And as an outreach coordinator, when we send our messages out, our weekly cause message to our accounts, we are using this. And so they can leverage the sample timeline. They also have the ability to modify and meet their own agency needs by saying, hey guys, we're going to do 4 weeks and we're going to do hunger, animals, medical research, and the environment. And then they don't have to worry about that content, those assets having dates on them. They can use them as they see fit for their campaign. So
thank you, Jen.
More flexibility.
And again, this was feedback from the coordinators wanting some flexibility. So feedback through the campaign continues to help the campaign grow and become more responsive to its stakeholders, the charities, and the coordinators. So I'm back on the website here, went to the toolkit. Jen said something that I wanted to recognize. So Christian, basically the campaign starts September 1, but really gets started when, like Christian said, on October 1. And when does the campaign end? Does anybody know that? Jen said it when she was giving her last. It's a campaign that runs through January 15th. Christian, you are on top of it, man.
Ding, 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 ding.
Turn this over to Christian. So it runs through January 15th. And the reason it runs from October 1 through January 15th is the majority of these pledges, if you're new to workplace campaigns, all workplace campaigns work like this. The state of Texas campaign, your local United Way campaign, the majority of workplace campaigns are payroll deduction. So somebody says, I'm going to give $10 a month or $50 a month or $50 a pay period if I get paid twice a month, or $20 a pay period if I get paid every 2 weeks. And those are deducted throughout the year. So they are pledging in the fall for money to come out of next year's paycheck. And so as you see your results, and we're going to talk about that a little bit as we get into the results and the giving site, whatever your results are from the CFC, it's $5,000 or $15,000, that money is our pledges, and it's not in the bank anywhere. It has to come out of the January paycheck from people all across the country, and the February paycheck, and the March, April, May, June, July, August, all the way through the end of the year. And so we'll talk a little bit about what that payment process looks like as we get closer to the end. But that's how workplace campaigns operate. And that's your timeline for workplace campaigns. There's a charity engagement guide that I'm going to put into the into the chat so you can download it. It's available for charities. If you go to that site, and this is where you can learn more about resources, getting into events, and promoting yourself in the CFC. So this charity guide is something that you'll want to look at if you're going to events. I think I saw Katie. You're going to an event on Saturday. So that's wonderful. We're going to talk to you a little bit about what those events look like. We're going to get to that. But the charity engagement guide is something that you'll want to download. And again, this is the slide. Much rather go to the live page. You go up to the top, it gives CFC. Click on charities and federations, and here are all your resources. There's the charity engagement guide I just put in there. Promoting yourself in the CFC is covered. We're going to go through all this virtual charity fair. We're going to talk about events and charity results. So before I talk about participating, does anybody have any questions? We're going to stop here at about 20 minutes into the presentation. Does anybody want to raise their hand and ask a question about marketing, about how the campaign works before we get into the details of, I don't see any. Does anybody have any questions? I don't see any in the chat. Does anybody want to raise their hand and ask a question? I can't be doing that good of a job. No questions?
The one
All
thing
right.
I want to acknowledge, Mike, real quick,
Please.
everybody, when you registered for events, assuming that everybody here has registered, you should have received a confirmation email from the system that you're registered, and it would have detailed what you selected. Hopefully you selected all counties, the details that you identified when you registered. If you did not get that email, check your spam junk folder first, because it might be in there. It's gone in there for a lot of people, actually. But do make sure you've got that confirmation and that your registration was received by that system.
Let me, so here's an example of what it looks like. It'll come in and it'll say, thank you for registering, and here are the details, your CFC number, your name, and then it goes down into what you, where you signed off. So make sure, and it came from, importantly, notifications at cognitoforms.com. That would go right to my junk mail.
Yes.
I had no reason I have any reason to accept that. So make sure you check that if you have registered, and verify that what was submitted, what you submitted, and what you want on the events form is correct. So in this case, it was a national organization, but they picked a county, they picked their zone, and they picked the counties that they want to attend, which is what we're going to go over. So look for that. If you have any questions about that, or you are unsure of, or are not happy with how the system accepted your registration, we'll talk a little bit about how you get back to the event system folks to get your registration updated. So is everybody logged into their account? And this is especially true for, so we've been on CFC Giving, but what about CFC Charities? Does everybody have access to their account at cfccharities.opm.gov? This is critical for you to track your progress and to understand what your organization historically has done in the campaign. We have data that goes all the way back to 2020. Let's see, it's odd. I had those. To 2027 in the campaign, and Let me see if I can pull up what those slides look like. Hold on. Jay, do you want to talk a little bit about the CFC charities and how this works so well for charities to access and what information is available there as I pull up those slides?
Yeah, there's a great there's a great video that I typically show, since I'm not a charity, so I don't have access to the system, unfortunately, to be able to speak to it. But do you want the video, Mike? Do you want to share that video with them?
Hold on for 1 second. I had these. Huh. Yeah, I want to share them the link. So is that
I'll pull it up.
thanks. Just put it in there. I'd rather not stop. So what you have there, and this is important at this time when we talk about engaging federal employees, you have the list of donor names, the donors that have released their information to you over the past, if you've been in since 2017, the last 7 years. And it's very important now that you thank those donors that have given to you in past years, because it is a tremendous way for you to remind them to give to you again this year. In fact, every year, the Office of Personnel Management sends out 3 reminders to everybody that participated last year. It's a kickoff reminder, a Giving Tuesday, and a Finish Strong reminder. Every time they sent that reminder out, that email, that communication out, we see a huge spike in giving. So make sure you download those donor names and you thank those donors. And I'm going to pull up real quick what those local engagement, what those look like. So I want to make sure you see them. And so when you go to your giving site, you're going to have a historical record that looks like this, where it has the year that you participated. It's going to have your application information, which we're not going to talk about right now. It's going to have your listing information. Listing information is that information that you have when somebody finds you in the list. This is your listing information. But then it has the additional information of the pledge amount that you received, and you get to view the details. And what I mean by viewing the details is you get to see those exact donors that gave to you, that released their name. So there's 2 links here at the top. There's these 2 blue buttons. One of them will list every pledge you received and where that pledge came from. For example, in this case, this is a local Houston charity, and it received a lot of their pledges from NASA in Houston. If you do an event like Katie's going to do on Saturday, you get to track and see if the folks at that event pledged to you. A lot of times they might not pledge to you that day or that next week, but remember that they'll put Post-it notes on their computer and remember you when they decide to pledge and make that decision by the end of the year. Right now, just to give you an idea of, this is a $70 million campaign. Right now, we've only raised about 10%. So we're more than 6 weeks into the campaign. The majority of the pledging, over 60% of the money, comes in after Giving Tuesday. So the work that you do now, going to events, reminding your donors, promoting yourself on social media, makes a difference when these federal employees decide to give on Giving Tuesday and kind of through the end of the campaign year during that holiday season. So these are the things that, this is the information that is so valuable to you, that you have at your account at CFC Charities. So if anybody's having any difficulty getting into CFC Charities, let us know and we'll help you get to the right people to make sure that that information and
Mike,
accessing
I
that
dropped
account.
into the chat the contact information for the CCA. So if you have questions about your distributions, pledge reports, if you can't access it, that's who you need to contact. We can't help you access this, but the CCA can. So you'll want to go to them and call them. That's how I would suggest you contact them. They're pretty responsive. They're pretty awesome, actually, is the feedback we get from nonprofits. So if you don't have access to it, I would even just save that information, honestly, that I dropped in there so you don't have to go look for it. And make sure that your organization has more than one email in that system. We know that nonprofit turnover is prevalent. And if it's only your email and you leave the organization, you've done a disservice to the next person in that they won't have access to it and it'll be hung up with your email. So in addition to your email, having an email like info@yourcharity.org or some sort of general box that never gets disconnected, that somebody always has access to at your organization, despite turnover, is beneficial. So make sure you have more than one email in the contact information of the account once you do gain access. Every year we see lots of charities that lose access to the system because of this. So that's why I emphasize that. And then Stephanie, absolutely. It's a benefit to federal employees actually to not release their information. They like remaining anonymous. We do educate them on the importance of releasing their information, that all you're going to do is thank them for their giving and perhaps remind them to give again, that you guys do not sell or lease their information, their contact information to outside sources, third parties, et cetera. So we do encourage them to release their information to you, but of course it is a benefit as they see it that they can remain anonymous. And so typically you only see about 10% or so release their information, but it's here, and it's here for every year that your charity has been in the CFC, going back as far as 2017 when the system was stood up. So you can go back as far back as 2017 if your organization applied back then to see who might have released your information even back then. Because good news is retirees can give. So if those donors have retired, they can still give to you through their annuitant check. So it is beneficial to stay aware
Thank
of
you,
that.
Jen. So you'll be able to see both all the gifts, where they came from, and then click on the other button. You'll be able to see the donors that released their name to you. So make sure you take advantage of that information. And Lydia had a question about CFC events, and we are getting to that next. But the answer to the question, we'll do that right now, is you want to get face to face with feds. The only way you can do that is through attending events. The only way you can attend events is registering. Again, it goes back to what motivates everybody in the CFC. Your outreach coordinator, the volunteers, and the donors is your work, your program, and the people that you benefit in your local community. So getting out to the CFC events is a huge way to promote yourself and the CFC. And it's something that we are in this transition period now from COVID to more in-person events. During COVID, there were so many virtual events, and we took great advantage of that and became expert at that. But now we've had volunteers at our local offices that say, hey, I want to have a CFC event because since 2000, my office has hired 50% of our workforce, and I've never met them. I've never met them face to face. And I want to get people back into the office, the managers say, and the leadership say, and the volunteers say, and have a CFC event. Make some popcorn, have an ice cream feed or a chili cook-off or something like that. So CFC events in person are a great way for you to get face time, and also for federal employees to come back from that COVID posture where they were working remotely, and now more and more of them are getting back into the office. So registering for CFC events. Everybody, you go here to register, and I'm going on the live site now. And when you click register for events, we're going to go through this to make sure that you have the correct information. Charity name is Mike's Charity, and my CFC number is 1233321. Oh, let's see. If you've already submitted, it'll tell you full name. So that's good. That number has not been used yet. And your email. And then you get to pick your cause week. It's actually cause area, right? We've already talked about that. But let's say you're an animal organization. Most people will have majority, nearly all will have one. A few will have two. Let's say it's a guide dog for, so they want to do education also. But very few will have 3 cause weeks. And then you say English, both English and Spanish are a choice. And we are a local charity, okay? And so when you pick your zone, and I'm going to pick Mountain States because it's one of the big zones. You also this year, for the first year, get to pick a adjacent zone. So if you're in Mountain States, you could actually pick, if anybody knows this, we're in northern areas, so I'll do Midwestern, and you could also pick an adjacent one, which would be Northern Lights, let's say. And then you would pick in-person or virtual events. Is everybody following so far? So if you're in Midwestern and you pick virtual, in-person and virtual, Midwestern covers Indiana, parts of Iowa, parts of Wisconsin, and parts of Illinois. And so to see those specific states, instead of seeing this whole big list, let's say you're in Illinois or you're in Chicago and you just want the Illinois counties, you click on Illinois, and those are all the counties that you can then choose from, and you get to click through which ones you want to attend. It's not where you are. And that's what happens sometimes when you go through it and check your registration. It's where you can travel to. So, Carrie, you can help me out here. What would be, if you're in Chicago, what would be typically all the counties that you would pick? Cook County?
Cook, and then it touches Lake and Well, and DeKalb.
And so those are all the counties around Cook County that you may want to travel to. And so if you're just in Chicago and you're in Cook County, don't just click Cook County, because then you won't get invited to those events that are right outside of Chicago that you may want to travel to. So any questions about how that works and how you're supposed to register and what this state thing is? We had some organizations that thought that if I click on Illinois, I'm going to be invited to all the Illinois counties. No, that's not how that works. If you don't click on it, you can click on all counties, and then it's letting you choose all counties. But if you click on the state is simply a filter to give you which counties in that state you want to choose. Any questions about how to register, how to pick counties? Did everybody find their confirmation notice, those that registered? And did anybody have any issues with what you thought you put and what the confirmation notice said you put? Everybody okay with how that's working? Yes, Jen.
I just want to acknowledge also that there is a major flaw with this system in that they don't separate in-person from virtual. And we do still see a lot of virtual event requests. So and please keep it in person and virtual. That's what you want to do, of course, because if there is in person, you want to show up. The truth is that's where the magic is, showing up to those in-person events. But when you pick in person and virtual, they are combining those two as one. And so when you come down to the county selection, it's my recommendation to you that you pick all counties. And I say that because if you select just Cook County or another county, you're also only going to get virtual invitations only for that county. When truth is, you're probably available to attend virtual events across the zone. You just only want to travel to Cook County, right? You can always decline an RSVP, guys. If it's an in-person event that you get in a county that's too far away, just decline it. That's easy. You don't want to miss out on a virtual event request because of how their system is designed. You want to make sure that you get all the virtual opportunities you can, and you can always decline in-person ones that are too far away to travel to. So I just want to acknowledge that it's a combined grouping. If you decide to isolate to counties for in-person and virtual selections, you are also isolating your virtual opportunities, which really takes your opportunities and limits them greatly. So my suggestion is to select all counties. And if you need to change anything with your registration,
I'm going to let Courtney.
that.
Courtney, do you want to answer that question? Best way to change anything is
I just dropped it in the chat. Yeah.
As I was typing it out.
So send an email. Probably the best way to do it is use that response email, forward it back to them and say, hey, this is what I submitted. You got it correct. But what I really want to put is these additional counties I didn't understand during the registration process. It was unclear. I wouldn't say I didn't understand. I would say it was unclear during the registration process that I had to pick all the counties I was available to travel to for the in-person events, and they will update your listing. So it's very important that you get that to them, and I'd get it to them right now. Courtney, we have events this week, next week, they're coming up, and we are finding that there are a lot of charities, local charities, that are not getting invited, and don't tell any of the national charities, but we want the local charities to attend, okay? And we encourage the local charities to sign up, and we encourage, as Jen does, is for you to be willing to travel as far as you can travel. So get back in there, talk to CFC support, say, I want to add these 4 or 5 counties to my profile. So when Andrew and Carrie have another event in Chicago or one of those adjacent counties that Carrie was talking about, that we have the ability to invite those charities that want to travel there. So any other questions about Kara and Lydia? Did you get your questions answered? Does anybody want to raise their hand and talk a little bit about the registration process? Okay, great, Lydia. That's wonderful.
Mike, I will say Christy told me that they have had a huge influx since we've had our trainings, with charities reaching out to them saying they didn't realize that there was all counties, and having them change that.
I just
Good.
provided you guys the verbiage too. And the verbiage I provided in the chat, I believe is important. It's well worded in that you're acknowledging that it limits your virtual invitations, and they need to know the flaw in their system exists. And by you guys using that language, they will, well, they'll see it over and over again. They'll probably know that Jen wrote it, but that's fine. Please use it. And also, I did notice as well, Courtney, that the email, the CFC support at charity.org, they removed from their website since we did our trainings. So you can no longer find it on their website, how to do this, so they must be getting an influx.
Oh, she told me, she said, oh yeah, we're working on it.
Good. So please email them and feel free to use that verbiage if you find it meaningful for what you're looking for, and anything else that you need updated. Again, look for that, or if maybe you didn't get the email and it's not in your junk box. One way you could troubleshoot is going back to that registration page. When you go back to the registration page and you enter your code, it will say this code's already been registered. And if it says that and you don't have an email, you can say confidently, I registered, I don't see the email, confirmation email in my junk box, my inbox. I attempted to re-register. The system told me I'm already registered. Can you please forward me my confirmation as it has not come through yet? So just so you guys have the
So-
steps for that as well.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Jen. So the invitation emails, you must RSVP. You have 2 days to RSVP. Do not RSVP to the email. Click the RSVP link. All the details are there, and you would RSVP with the name of the person that is going to attend. And so when you get that email, confirm that you can make it. Please do not confirm that you want to attend and then cancel. That is tremendously challenging for the enthusiasm, motivation of all the campaign participants. These volunteers put a lot of time and effort into these events, and to cancel the day of or the day before means we have to go back out and hopefully find somebody, and your participation is so critical to the success of this campaign or these events. So please double check, triple check, make sure you can attend, and then block it out on your calendar. And you RSVP, and by entering your information here, this is what it looks like. So you're not surprised when you get one and what the process looks like. And then, be memorable and engaging. Sometimes we encourage folks, if you have a good volunteer or a recipient of your services to go, that's a great way to present at an event as opposed to a staff person, because they've received your services. They talk passionately about what you provide. For example, if you're a guide dog organization, having somebody that was a guide dog recipient go to an event, or even bring their puppy to an event, their dog to an event, is a tremendous, memorable way to engage federal employees. Bringing giveaways is always a great idea. Giveaways being, pens, chip clips, buttons. Sometimes people have koozies. So whatever you have, augment that with food, candy. It's always fun during October because we can swing by the local shopping center and pick up bags of candy, and having candy on your table will always, forever, never fails to get federal employees to stop by your table and talk to you for a minute if you have a bag of Halloween candy there. So use that time of the year, and then promoting event attendance on Facebook or social media, saying, we're going to be at the Mike Monroney Center, Aeronautical Center in Oklahoma City this weekend for their food truck CFC event. Looking forward to seeing our friends and the wonderful CFC donors at Mike Monroney Center again this year. So remember to promote your event attendance via social media. As I said, tech savvy is a good way to do it. Practice good etiquette. If you have any questions about what materials you can bring, remember the information is here with, if you want to print up CFC information, logos, the Give Happy mark, CFC's QR code, because you can't take cash or checks or any pledges at your table, but what you can do is have them click right there. You give them your CFC number, they can go onto the site right there and give to you as they visit you at the event. So make sure before you go that you click on, go to Give CFC, click on Charities, and then promoting yourself in the CFC is a very important link to get information before an event. I talked a little bit about this, things you can and cannot do. And you always want to read your invitations, because the invitations are going to have specifically what you can and cannot do on events, or what registration is required. If you go to Mike Monroney Center in Oklahoma City, Aeronautical Center, you're going to have to get there about 45 minutes early, and you're going to have to go through a security screening. And that is something you should expect at every federal building you attend. Some of them are more strict than others. Usually on the invitation, there will be details. Don't not follow those details. These are federal employees that are giving you critical advice on how you can access their buildings. And if you show up 5 till 11 for an 11 o'clock event, you will be late to that event because you're going to have to go through security. There's going to be a line, and it's not going to move as fast as you want it to. And that's on you, because the campaign can't and will not, in any respects, both with your data and both with security at federal buildings, compromise that for CFC charities or CFC events. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is the promoting yourself through the campaign, through submitting information and stuff at through your virtual charity fair. So the virtual charity fair is where federal employees go to get additional information. So we have this information here where you get your name, and this is regulatory required information. Here's your statement, here's your website, overhead, your logo. This is all stuff that's regulatory required that the system has to provide. But we know there's a lot more information about your organization. And so the virtual charity fair is your opportunity to provide this information. And you're able to provide a video, you're able to provide a story, and you're able to provide a picture. So make sure that you, if you haven't done it already, that you upload and you check out these resources by going to charity, going to submit resources to the virtual charity fair. And this is all about what you can submit, how you submit a photo, and this is where you go to upload that information. So if you have any questions about what this looks like, you have a good idea. You can see what it looks like when it's done correctly. It looks like this. Has your information here, has your name, and this is where donors go to see more about your organization on a one minute video, a picture, and a short story about what it is and your beneficiaries, and who the people are that you help, beyond just that short statement, the 256 character statement that's on the Give site. Any questions about the events, about the virtual charity fair, about the theme, about how the CFC works? And if you do, you can shoot me an email anytime. I'm available. And if you send me one and it's a question that your account manager, area, or your zone manager, Carrie, can answer, I'll forward it to Carrie. Or if it's something for your area director, Shell, I will forward it to her, copy it myself, and we'll make sure you get the most current, up-to-date answer, and it'll help you get through. But remember, so many of you, this is your first year. This is the first time you've heard this, and you will be sitting at your desk in 2 hours and go, gosh, what did Mike say about counties? Did he say if I click the state that I'm in all those counties, or do I got to pick counties? I can't remember. That is a very, very common process after you attend one of our trainings, especially for the first time. So shoot me an email with any questions you have about the CFC, about events, about marketing yourself in the CFC, and we'll make sure you get all the materials, get your questions answered, and get you in contact with the right people to make sure that your participation, your engagement in the 2024 CFC is a tremendous success. I'm going to wrap it up here. So connecting with your zone on the Facebook page is a great idea. So if you go to, and you want to go to Midwestern Combined Federal Campaign, make sure you do that and then follow, and you will get all these messages that go out throughout the week. If you're at an event, pictures are taken. You can expect to see these pictures here. We did that with the Ohio CFC. They had a golf tournament a couple weeks ago, and there was a tremendous response to that, and we posted pictures to that website. So make sure that you, for the events, you connect with, or for your participation, you connect with Carrie and the Facebook page for the Midwestern CFC or whatever zone you're in. And if you have any questions about your zone, remember Jen put this in, but here are the local zones throughout the campaign season. That's right. It's right here. So any questions as I wrap this up? Any comments, any feedback? We can't thank you enough for partnering with us. If you're new, your organization might not be new, and the campaign has been around for 33 years. It's a federal tradition of giving during the fall. People have asked, we're going to do a Eastern training for some of the Eastern charities in the zones that we participate in and manage. And people might ask us about hurricane relief. We point people year-round to the CFC site and for them to find the charities they want to support. It's a very powerful search engine where you can put in your issue, and your state, and you can search for all the organizations there. You can put in organizations that do disaster relief in North Carolina. You can do organizations that provide, in the environment, global warming, breast cancer, and you can do all that through this search engine. So make sure that you're aware of how this works, what your CFC number is, and promote it throughout the campaign. Thank you, Renee. We really appreciate the positive feedback, and we're so happy to be working with you and everybody on the call and all our local charities. And don't hesitate to give us a call so we can answer any questions you have and make sure, again, that you have a successful CFC. Jen, do you have anything you want to say in closing? She's jamming through.
I was on mute. I've got allergies, Texas. So anyhow, no, I was just throwing stuff into the chat. Following the page is an easy way to promote and bring awareness to your participation. I shared a screenshot of Scarce, somebody, a nonprofit on September 30th that shared the Give Knowledge post because they are involved in education. So when you go to the pages, you can easily share. The one thing that they got wrong, just being, constructive criticism, is that they didn't include their CFC code in their post. They didn't say, whether you give to any CFC organization or ours, CFC code 12345, thank you for using CFC as your pathway for giving. Promoting the campaign as a whole and also remembering to promote your code is really important. So that's a great example of how to do it. Make sure you tag the zone. It will show up on our pages, and federal employees that are following it will see you. And then federal employees that are following your pages will also see that you are a CFC approved charity, and they'll be reminded that they can give to you through their CFC, their workplace giving program. So thank you for all you do in your communities, for the missions that you serve, and of course, for your participation in CFC. We're very grateful. So.
Okay, everybody, thanks. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to working with you, hearing from you. Don't hesitate to contact us, and let's keep moving forward on a tremendously successful CFC so far. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Shell. Thanks, Courtney. Thanks, Jen. Great job. See everybody soon. Bye-bye.